It anyway.
It's too late, even if you're not, because it's going live.
It's too late.
Talk,
we're
talk.
going live. It's too
Fuck
late.
it,
We're
we're
going
doing it
live.
live. Why, hello, and welcome to issue 600 of Geek in the City Radio. I am one of your hosts, Aaron Duran.
I'm one of your other hosts, Rita.
And I am your other host, Cable Hashitani.
And as is the tradition on all things when they hit issue 600, one of us is going to die before the end of this issue.
Wait, what?
Sorry, I'm just, every time they do milestone issues, they're like, you won't believe who never comes back.
Is that like a soap opera thing?
No, comic book thing.
Oh.
Didn't Bruce get his back broken in issue 600?
You're asking the wrong bitch.
That's true.
You know, I don't know.
I kind of think so. Anyway, no one's going to die in this episode. I mean, I hope not.
Well, that's good. I don't want to die. I mean, I do eventually, but
I'm not afraid of death. I just don't want to do that right now.
Just don't want to be there when it happens.
Wait, what? That's not how that works.
Oh, you don't know what I have planned.
There are ways. There are ways.
There are always ways. Just got to work on that whole lich thing.
So I remember seeing a meme about liches and
liches get stitches.
How a human like what's his name, Aragorn, who falls in love with an elf,
right?
Like it seemingly makes sense. It's like that a human could decide to become a lich so that they could live out their life or their afterlife with the elf who doesn't age and, never dies.
Right. But I feel like liches are kind of like gross and sticky. And I feel like an elf with elven sensibilities would no longer wish to lay with their partner who is all lichy.
I mean, I think it depends on,
Okay.
I would imagine that there's some good lich aftercare that could be.
Oh, no, I think lichdom just comes and going on. Now, there are other forms of undead you could take care of. You could become a mummy. I'm using D&D rules here. So you can become a mummy. They're not always,
The Chris Robertson universe of zombies, they're all very functional undead people.
Yeah.
That's true.
You can become a vampire, but I feel like elves, as a rule, find vampires an affront upon nature.
Sure. You could take whatever that elixir is they use in Death Becomes Her.
That's true.
Don't you start to fall apart after a while?
Only if you don't take care of yourself.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Which is the warning.
I mean, I would not last very long if that's the route of undead that I took. The only thing keeping my body together is my constantly pumping blood and oxygen coming in and out. If I were dead, I would be just dilapidated in a month. I'm covered in bruises right now. Some of them don't even make sense.
I don't think you bruise when you're undead.
But that's just a testament to how not good of care I take to my body. That was a bad set.
You would bruise. The bruises wouldn't heal.
Right. But what other damage am I taking on a day-to-day basis that I'm not going to heal from because now I'm undead?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I wouldn't last very long.
That's why you probably have to be a vampire then, because they just feed to get their energy back.
I would definitely choose vampirism as my undead route because vampires are sexy.
Yeah. I don't know. I might choose like the mummy. I think that's kind of cool.
Or I can just have a big skeleton face nose, like a bat. Either one is fine.
All I can think of every time you say mummy is Yona Vasquez's I Feel Sick.
Yeah.
Where she goes to the goth club and meets the one girl who's like, no, they're vampires. I'm not a vampire. Vampires is so passe. I'm a mummy. I use bees. What do those two things have to do with each other? Still my favorite gag out of that book. I Feel Sick is also my favorite Yona Baskets comic.
Wow.
Right. Well, we should say what we're doing today because our first guest is going to log in probably in about 10 minutes or so.
Why? What are we doing?
What are we doing?
I'm kidding.
So for our 600th episode, some folks might think this is a little strange. I think it actually makes a lot of sense. We are going to be inviting on all of our sponsors of the show, people who have basically been with the show since like day one, and it's just kind of want to catch up with them and like thank them and then see how they're doing because 2020 was not good for anyone that engaged in commerce unless you're friggin' Jeff Bezos. I mean, as a rule, it was rough.
Yeah.
Especially like our sponsors. Like we don't have, it's not like we're, sponsored by like, Purple and Squarespace and I don't know, those hair loss pills. Like we're not Keeps. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Okay.
We're not sponsored by these big national brands or whatever. Like I have always intentionally kept it local, even though we're a global show. The show started by highlighting local creators and whatnot. So I've always tried to keep our sponsors local, and it's it's asking a lot of local businesses to say like, hey, can you give us money so we can do this wacky show? And they've all said yes, and they have said yes for over a decade now.
Every year we have to ask them, like contractually obligated to ask them, and they keep saying yes.
Yeah, I mean, it helps that we're a write-off for them. At the end of the year, we're like, man, if we could only shave. Oh, look, the email invoice came in from that Geek in the City show. Boom. So yeah, that helps.
This is true.
Related, not related. I'm going to take 10 seconds and tell you guys about this drink I'm drinking.
Ooh, is the punch up?
Yeah.
Tell.
What? No, it's not out yet. It should be out this week.
Remember, OLCC doesn't technically allow alcohol advertising.
No, I'm just telling you what I'm drinking.
Oh, okay.
Letting you know that it's going to be available via ReverendNats.com very soon.
Like the fucking OLCC.
Blood orange.
Is going to be like, that Geek in the City has done it again.
Sorting around your stupid rules.
They're actually just petty enough to do something like that, actually.
They are, but I will give them this, that the LCC and Oregon legislator has extended and I think is looking at making permanent drinks to go in the state of Oregon.
That'd be nice.
There's no putting that shit back in the bottle now.
Nope. That's funny.
Oh, yeah. You gave it people a taste and like the world didn't end because of it. So like every argument they ever had just didn't happen. So it's like, well, all right.
But they're going to try. They're going to.
Oh, yeah.
That's true of everything. Like they're going to try to tell us. It's like, oh, we can't go back to that. It's like, we're not going back.
Right.
If you're going to fight us again about this, sure, but we're not going back to the way things were.
No thanks. And no thanks.
It's also it's that whole argument that like once you give a populace a taste of what could be and their lives are made demonstrably better about it, which there's arguments to be made that making alcohol the goal doesn't actually make your life better, but it does for a little while, that it's hard to take that away once the argument's always like if we were to ever create the single payer healthcare and it was going for like 3 years and then someone else wants to move in and wants to get rid of it. Like once people begin to realize how much nicer it is and you no longer worry about going bankrupt because you got sick, like that's hard to convince people. Let's go back to the old ways.
Right.
Yep.
But we're not talking about life or death, health, medical situations. We're just talking about like, I would love it to have some like drive-through alcohol purchasing.
You say that,
without being Texas.
Yeah.
Or Phoenix.
You say that alcohol doesn't help people at home. And I, like, yes, it can be abused. But that's not the only help that doing that provides. That means you're also employing bartenders and servers who are creating drinks. And so you're helping people stay employed. in a time where it's really hard.
Yeah.
Mostly because there are still people who think, no, we'll just pay them what we were paying them before.
Right. Yeah.
Well, before we get down this really negative can of worms, wow. Before we go down the road or open this can of worms, who is on the docket first?
So first coming up, we're going to chat with Anton. I know we haven't had Asylum as like an official sponsor for a while because they definitely got hit hard, but we still mention them now and then, and it's still a great shop. And yeah, so hopefully in a few minutes, Anton will be joining us to chat about how he's doing down at the shop and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then who else we got?
And after that, we will be chatting with Sarah Friesen, who is the regional manager for Burke Retail, which is the company that owns Guardian Games and Rainy Day Games.
Woo. That's like official now, right? Remember for a while, they're like, don't say anything.
Well, that's been official since last July.
And it's been a year almost.
What? Yeah. I'm thinking of something. All right, never mind. Because
time.
There are like 100 other things that we've talked about that do not get played on the air.
Prank caller.
Who is this?
Click. Are you driving on a cellular phone? And then our third and final guest will be
Michael Ring of Bridge City Comics.
Shandy Ring will be on. What's also good about doing this kind of episode is I don't have to cut a commercial break.
This whole issue is just one long commercial.
Yeah, they're not going to get it. They're not going to get their commercial break in this. They're on their own.
Geek in the City, issue 600, the infomercial.
You beat me to it.
Oh, and here we go. Let's see. I wish we could do like a sound effect, like because we've got the waiting room set up, so it says like Anton has joined the waiting room.
Hey.
There he is.
Hello.
It's an Anton Cox of Asylum.
Oh yeah, I guess it does still say Anton Cox, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I don't know. Everybody knows my last name. I'm a little early. I hope that's okay.
No, that's fine. We can jump right in. It's good. Man, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. No, this is awesome. This is exciting for me.
Yeah. So how have you and Deb been? How's it going?
Personally or business wise?
Well, that's up to you. You can decide either way.
Business wise, we're hanging in there.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily we kind of reaffirmed that we were born coming out of the last recession. And so the things that we intentionally carried were things that people would use and just a little bit nicer. And so people continue to need things that they can use. So that has helped us. Now,
people still need places to put their butts on and to eat food from.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Or to put their drink down on, things like that.
Oh, there's been a lot of that this past year.
Yes, I think there has been.
I like that Asylum is one of our classier sponsors, and yet, Aaron, you found the least classy way to describe them.
What?
What did I miss?
I said
people always need to put their butts on.
Oh, okay. No, I take no offense with that. I'm very casual about stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you not remember? Do you not remember the time we called Asylum like the jock strap? And
yes,
he literally stopped me in the store and was like, "That's the best commercial I've ever heard."
Yes, yeah, the jock strap of vintage, Portland vintage.
That's right.
Yes,
we keep. I'm trying to remember why you said that. Like it was like some sort of like a necessary.
I think it was something about they keep things tight and needy.
I think that's right.
Neat and tidy.
That's right.
We keep things in place.
Oh, tight and needy is a completely.
That's something. Whoa, that's enough. That's enough.
Yep. This is exactly how every single live read for PDX Asylum ever went on every issue.
Yeah,
and I loved it every time I listened to it.
Fantastic.
We got exactly what we were hoping for. Something memorable.
Good.
And as I've told Aaron in private emails, we do intend to eventually be back You know, I think during the pandemic, you know, thankfully we have a very forgiving landlord, and he's been working with us. And you know, sales are okay, but they are, you know, they're not. We budget more carefully. How about that?
That is very smart.
Sounds
And
about right.
Sure.
And I know a lot of other people out there, both businesses and personally, budget a lot more carefully right now.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to be able to say that is the solution, that you have a solution.
We
and that
do.
It's, yeah.
And it's been, the pandemic has allowed us to be a lot more thoughtful too about, or deliberate. We've been able to think about things and like, is the model that that we use right now, is this the model that is appropriate for us? Should we, we are a place, a store in a city. We're not like a chain where you can go to any mall and find asylum. We
Mhm.
are not a place that's like, well, yeah, I guess they have a location, but I always just go to their website. We want you to come and experience things. We want you to see and touch and evaluate and make decisions based on something tangible, rather than that's a great picture and a great description. And yeah, they have measurements. I think that might work, but almost invariably things don't look as what they do in pictures, or they don't match up with the descriptions. And we've talked to plenty of people who during the pandemic and even before the pandemic bought things online and then were disappointed and then ended up coming to us or some other physical store.
Right.
And we have, you know, toyed with the ideas like, well, do we make a website that allows us, you know, people to browse and they can click on it and we'll start shipping? And we've decided, no, if we wanted to do that, we would not be paying for a storefront. We would just get a bunch of really good web developers, make it a really great website, pay a lot of money for advertising because online is a super saturated market. Hope that we stand out, and then, you know, work in a warehouse all day, you know, boxing and shipping. That's not why we got into this. We really want to work with people in person, help people get exactly what it is that they want. And plenty of times, you know, if they're what they're describing, we don't have it, you know, we'll be upfront with them about that. And I think people respect that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's just,
I
you know,
think that
it is
the
just
major. Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I got it. Go do it.
I was just going to say, I think that is still the major difference between any online sales experience and in-person sales experience, that you want to be able to walk in and you can look at all the information in the world on the internet. You can't make a gut decision unless you're in the room with the thing that you want to buy.
Very true.
Yep.
And I think a lot of salespeople, and I don't even consider myself a salesperson, but when people walk into a store, they're like, those are salespeople, and all they want to do is try to separate me from my money, and they look at them as kind of sleazy and slimy. And I think that's a terrible. Yes, those people exist, but that's not us, and I don't think that's most, especially small stores,
Right.
mom and pops.
Yeah, those salespeople are driven by quotas and metrics, and not who are you and what do you want? Why do you want it? Okay, I've got the thing. I've got just the thing.
How often do you hear them say, you know what? I don't have that thing. Other people do. You don't hear that. And sometimes those metrics are coming from themselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes those metrics are coming from corporate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are kind of the things you're like hoping for in this coming year? Like, are you starting to see, you know, like the light at the end of the tunnel, or like I hate to say like going to normal, because I don't really want to go back to what was once normal for many things.
We don't either.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I mean, how does it look like the forecast? Like, if you could like look ahead a few months, do you see like people feeling better about coming in, or?
Well, we're already starting to see more foot traffic, but they're the people that I, in my own head, think of as loopers. as in the people who are excited that stores are open and that maybe they've been vaccinated and they're getting to see their friends, so they pop in. Doesn't matter what the store is, they do a quick look while they're chatting with each other, and then they're out. So we're seeing an uptick in that kind of foot traffic, which I think bodes well for the future, which means more foot traffic in general.
Right.
As far as we're still only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday from noon to 4. That was a decision we made at the beginning of the pandemic. Well, in June, when stores were allowed to open back up again,
Right.
and it made sense for us for 2 reasons. One was that's where the bulk of our sales happened anyway during the week, and during it also limited our exposure, potential exposure to the virus. But as we went on, we were talking to our accountant. Our accountant said that she and many other professionals that she knows have reduced their availability. They have a much better balance of life, and that they have really not seen much of a drop off in the number of people that they are providing service for. And so she was like, if you're maintaining that certain amount of sales that is going to be okay for now until you get through, do it. And we've been testing the waters. There are some times when we know that we're going to be getting packages from whatever delivery company. So we show up at the store and we'll be waiting for them. And if the weather's nice and it looks like there's decent foot traffic outside, during a Monday through Thursday, we'll go ahead and open the store for a few hours just to test the waters.
Sure.
And right now, it really is not worth being open on a Monday through Thursday. So looking even further into the future, I don't see us being open 7 days a week again. We were working 364 days every year for almost the last 10 years, because this November is 10 years for Asylum.
Oh, awesome.
Which is very exciting for us. But I don't see us being open 7 days a week anytime outside of December. And we're still working 6 to 7 days a week, but our days are a little bit lighter, because there's always being open 3 days a week does not mean that you're only working 3 days a week. For any people who have their own business or are doing the hustle out there, that you're always working, and business is always on your mind. But it has allowed a much greater balance for us. We've been able to read books, which is exciting for us, and watch some TV shows and some movies, and that has been great. And we don't want to go back to just working all the time and making decisions quickly. We want to be able to make decisions more thoughtfully, and it has really been good for us. And I don't know if you're allowed to say that the pandemic has been okay for you personally. I know that everybody's experience varies, and there, some parts are good, some parts are not as good, but
I think it's okay to say the pandemic in one way or another has made everyone reevaluate what their values were, or what they were told their values were supposed to be. Especially when you brought up your accountant, who is not working as hard but hasn't seen a real drop in their finances. You and Deb looking down the line being like, why would we want to go back to 7 days a week? The numbers really never were there, so why are we breaking ourselves?
That's exactly right. I mean, if the numbers weren't really there, then we were just being open because people expected us to be open, not that we were necessarily going to be in the black for that day.
Right.
Right.
And if you want to keep going the way of, well, you should be open 7 days a week, well, then you should probably be open until 6 o'clock for those people who are just getting off work, or maybe 7 o'clock for those people who, got stuck in traffic, or maybe till 9 o'clock so that their families can go home and have dinner. Then they want to go out and do something later. And then you may as well extend your hours from 8 in the morning till 9 at night of just being open. And why?
No.
That was
Not
what
the
it was
internet.
for me at my last real job. I didn't work 7 days a week, but we were open 7 days a week, really long hours, and it was always to accommodate a really small percentage of people. And it's just it's killing your own work-life balance. And when you own your own business, you're kind of never off the clock.
Right.
So I think that if you can see the value in reducing your hours without, cutting into your, margins, absolutely do that.
I used to have this argument back when I managed one of the TFAs. I was like, why are we open Sunday and Monday? We almost always lose money on both of those days. And you guys higher up, you get pissed when we don't make a profit on those days, because then it cuts into the whole week. I was like, why are we like the numbers show that we don't make enough money to cover labor that day. So why don't we just make us closed on Sundays and Mondays? Every employee can have like an actual human 2 days in a row off. We come back Tuesday because that's when new books arrive. Unless things have changed, comic book shops make their money Wednesday through Friday. Like that's where the money comes in, and a little bit on Saturday, but like Sundays and Mondays, comic book shops are just dead. You're just burning money.
Tuesday is usually referred to as the retail Sunday, because
in the comic book shop world, or
in a lot of retail spaces, like that's the day that you see the slowest amount of sales. It's true at Guardian as well.
Yeah, which is also, I don't know if it's changed, but traditionally that's when a lot of new items, they came out on Tuesdays. So you were doing a lot of stock and prepping for release days. Like comics show up at shops at Tuesdays.
When I was in optical, Sundays it used to be one person staffing, but it was so busy all the time they needed to have 2 people on staff, and even that was hellish. I'd done it for even though it was only a 4-hour day, and more often than not they would lose money on Sundays. That's not even counting overhead. I'm talking just end of day receipts.
And I remember a time period where like Mondays and Tuesdays were the days that art galleries and hairdressers all took off. If you worked in those industries, because those were the days that you worked through the weekend and you worked your ass off, and then that was your 2-day weekend.
Oh, if you ever visit Ashland, never visit on Mondays and Tuesdays if you want to see everything, because most of that shit is closed. It's
true in Astoria too.
Yep. Anyway, yeah, we're a little. We did have a couple questions from Norm.
Norm from Texas. Norm from Texas. Hi guys.
His first question was, have you ever sold a piece of furniture that kind of bums you out, even though you knew it was going to like a good home? You're like, man, I kind of miss having that around. It was cool.
I can think of a couple of desks that I wish we hadn't sold, that I wish we had kept. And I can think of a few paintings. But yeah, and we're starting now to live with certain things a little longer before we put them in the store. So we can at least enjoy them and evaluate whether or not we really want to put it into the store.
Nice.
By the way, to Denise's point of you're finding yourself being open just to accommodate a few customers. On those other days, we have always been open to meeting with people during the middle of the day, because not Friday, Saturday, Sunday doesn't work for everybody. And people have figured that out and reached out to us, and we're totally fine with that. So we are open to making those accommodations.
And then your answer to the first question, part of your answer leads into the second question, which is Norm would like to know who made that awesome piece of art that's hanging behind you over your right shoulder there.
Yeah, that's Christopher Walken. That is from David Mex Hernandez. He's in, I think, Naperville or the Chicago area. And he is a buddy of Mike Schmidt, the 40-year-old 40-year-old boy, not the 40-year-old virgin, the 40-year-old boy, if anybody listens to that podcast. But he's a great painter. He does paintings and illustrations and people's little avatars for their Facebook or whatever. Very talented, and Deb loves Christopher Walken, so I ended up getting this for her.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Cool. Trying to see if anybody else kind of popped up in there for a minute. Also, boy, am I glad we have the YouTube version, because guess what I forgot to do?
Hit record.
Oh, this meeting is being recorded. Continue.
Yeah. So everything we said before is fine, but I did it again.
We were just so excited.
I know.
It's
So
really
what's
cool
some...
to see. Also, it is really cool to see all you guys.
Yeah, I think I popped in a couple times during this past
You guys
year
did.
or so.
Yep,
Yeah.
you and Jen did, and you also, you bought some stuff from us, so that was great.
Yeah.
I drive by a lot.
Do you wave when you drive by?
If sometimes I know I've seen you out on the sidewalk a couple times, but you're usually facing the other way. Or I should say, you've
Ah.
always been facing the way. Otherwise, I would have. I don't really have
Okay.
time to pull over in those circumstances. But I'm like, there's ants on. All right.
On Hawthorne, it's a little hard to just pull over.
Yeah.
It
This is true.
is. It is. It's more of a walking neighborhood.
How's Hawthorne doing in general? Like, how do you see things happening?
It's weird. It is weird. I don't know if you guys have been around in the area lately, but like Starbucks left. Starbucks
Wow.
left.
Huh.
They were
Wow.
right on the corner of 37th and Hawthorne.
Huh.
Starbucks rarely leaves anywhere.
Yeah.
So when they left, that gave me really great pause. Powell's Home and Garden, they're gone for good. There are, the Ben and Jerry's folded. I know they were trying to sell for quite a while. And then Dairy Hill moved in. I guess they have locations elsewhere in Portland.
Yeah, I've been to that one. Yeah, I've been there.
Okay.
With the
I know that-
Starbucks, I would guess, I mean, like, that's not, I don't feel like that's a good neighborhood for like, I'm going to grab something to go. It's more of a hangout Starbucks. And that's not something they've really been able to do for a long time.
Maybe. But yeah, they closed on January 1st. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they weren't able to keep
I
have
know-
enough revenue of any kind. I mean,
Right.
when they
I also know that Portland Cider closed for. They said they're going to close until they feel safer. Like they haven't ended it. The tap room there.
Okay.
They're like, we just don't feel safe having our employees that close to patrons all the time. It doesn't feel right.
Right.
So.
We are hoping to get our employee John back sometime,
Oh,
maybe
yay!
next month or so. We're hoping that and we're going to ease him back into things, because I know that when we first opened up with masks, wearing a mask while working with the public, while at least in the very beginning, making sure, hey, keep your mask on, hey, use the hand sanitizer when you come in, all that stuff, that was exhausting. Now, because of the science, we don't, we don't care so much about the hand sanitizer. Yes, please wear the mask when you come in the store. We still are, and we'll see about that in the future. But
Yeah.
at the neighborhood, it feels weird. I do think that more is coming back. I do feel hopeful for the future. I don't think this is, I know that not all the businesses have been able to make it. I know that some individuals have had to move away because either they lost their job or couldn't earn enough and therefore had to move to change their living situation. And so people that we're used to seeing all the time in the neighborhood, even whether we knew their name or not, maybe they're not around anymore. There's going to be change. There has been change. It won't go back to the way it was.
Right.
But we're hopeful. We're hopeful.
Yeah. And I hope one of the lessons that some of them take away, especially like the building owners, is that they just can't charge these massive prices anymore. Like the money's just not there. And I'd rather make less on a full building than just be paying bills on an empty one, I guess.
I hope that our landlord has been cool, but I really hope that A, that he never sells the building, and B, continues to be as cool, because I look at occasionally we get emails from places that are like, hey, this place is vacant and it's going to cost you this much. And I'm like, really? How's anybody actually going to make any money at that place unless you're like a national chain and have deep pockets? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, people joke.
It's working really well for Southwest Waterfront. I don't know what you mean.
That place is jumping.
I don't catch the reference there.
Oh, that's right, because you never got to go anywhere. That entire Southwest Waterfront area of Portland with the really gorgeous condos and all that fancy retail front.
Oh, down there. Yes.
Yeah, that's still only like a 50% occupancy.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those buildings are like half empty. The only businesses down there are, a Starbucks, and then just a metric F ton of like chiropractors and doggy daycares. So rich people have tiny dogs and they have back pain.
And Old Spaghetti Factory still down there?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
It's still down there. Yeah.
I've been
They're not
down
going
to
anywhere.
that neighborhood. It's not empty, but it feels like it should be a lot more vibrant than it is, even now.
It's boring.
It's not the easiest to get to. I mean, you
No.
got the streetcar, and there's like 2 ways in, one from the north, one from the south, and that's about it.
Yep.
That's it. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
About right.
Yeah.
I used to go down there on my bike when I would ride bikes. It was one of the places I would go.
It seems like they try to have a lot of amenities right there in the neighborhood, but it just that makes it feel like it's that much more sequestered from any other part of town.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to leave. Look, there's like 3 food options and a dry cleaners.
Right. Which was probably
Stay
intentional.
here.
Mm-hmm.
They are their own bubble.
Yes.
That they are.
But yeah, Spaghetti Factory's never gone anywhere. I mean, the overhead on pasta is non-existent.
It's all in the building.
Right.
Yep. I think the Hawthorne neighborhood was one of the last neighborhoods we were in before everything went sideways last year.
Oh, just like hanging out stuff, or
Yeah, because we had gone out for Merrick's leap year birthday,
Oh,
right.
and there was a Frankenstein comic book swap
Oh, that's right.
up the road, which is funny too, because that's also the same neighborhood that we saw our last live show at. Like we saw Poppy and Vows at the Hawthorne Theater,
Ooh,
like at the
Vows.
end of January. It's like, yeah, this will be fun, and then nothing, and then March happened.
Right.
Yep.
Well, Anton, I'm really glad to hear that. Like, you guys are doing as well as well, better than some folks, but that you're doing well. It's good to know.
We are hanging in there. Sales are decidedly adequate.
Sometimes
that is all we can hope for right now. How are you? Decidedly adequate.
Yes.
And one
and
day I'm
personally,
going
yes.
to get that clock.
What's that?
One day I'm going to get that clock, that the big digital one that flips and it does like
It's 4:05 in English. Yes.
Yeah.
Spells it out.
It's
Yes.
like it speaks.
It doesn't speak. It just spells it out in English. Like
Yeah, so it says
FOUR.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, yeah. It'll have IT as apostrophe S, FOUR, OHFIVE. Like
Words.
that.
It's all words.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a really long, like that old stool digital where they would flip, like
Like in the
It's
old
that,
train
but
stations.
yeah, but it does it all it's all written, not numbers. Every time I see it, I'm like, get that watch. I'm gonna get it someday. I'm gonna get that clock someday.
I know Cable had commented on one of our posts with that clock. I think you dug it.
I did.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Ooh.
Well,
Well,
it feels like we're wrapping up.
yeah, we should let
I think
you
so.
go. We got more folks popping in, but it's so good to see you. Remember, Asylum's right across from the Baghdad Theater.
That's right. Deb says hello. Does not want to be on video.
No,
And
that's fine. Not everybody does. I understand.
and Aaron, Bean Rita, Cable, thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anton.
And I'll be listening to the podcast because I want to hear everybody else too.
Awesome. All right. Bye, my friend.
See you again soon.
Yay. That's cool.
He seems to be doing well.
Yeah.
I'm actually like really happy for them. Like I said, like when you own your own business, you're just constantly working. And the only way to get time off is to hire somebody else to work for you, which,
Right.
comes with a whole nother bag of work in a way. So it's really, really nice to see that they have found,
Sorry.
in theory, more time for themselves
Mm-hmm.
in all of this.
But like Aaron was saying, that seems to be the big takeaway as you start evaluating what you actually value.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I just don't see anyone going back to like that. Our work-life balance has never been correct in this country.
I don't want to
Like,
go back
nope,
to working
like
40
ever.
hours a week.
especially as there's more and more studies that show that we're less efficient.
Yep.
Like we get more done when the work week is like 25 hours long. Like they broke down like on an 8-hour day, the amount of work that gets done is usually about 4.5.
I have straight up told my boss, it's like one of the reasons why I want to see universal basic income be a thing in my lifetime, which I don't pragmatically believe that it will.
Sure.
But it's like, I know that if I worked a 25-hour work week for any company, 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, you're going to get concentrated 5 hours of work out of me, and then I'm going to go home. And the rest of my bills are paid by universal basic income. And then I will be a lot more creative. I'll be a lot more efficient at work. All of these things.
Yeah.
And I know the argument is made. It's like, well, you've had all this time during the pandemic where you could have done this and this. Like, no, because we're also all exhausted from going through trauma.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my biggest hurdle with myself over the past year, is feeling like I should have done more.
Yeah, except surviving. Surviving is more. That's what we've all been doing. Like,
and you know what? Animal Crossing is also an accomplishment. So
this is true. I'm not going to knock it. I'm really not. Merrick recently got a ring fit for the. What are those?
Oh yeah, how does she
Switches.
like it?
She likes it quite a bit. I like it as well. I have not exercised as much as she has, but I'm getting there. So hopefully I can be back in shape to try and go to a gym and climb walls again, because
I want to go to that with you. We talked about it in the before times, and we never got around to it. But
I think you would both very much enjoy it, because it is
I do want to try
a
it,
non-traditional workout.
yeah, keep working on these guns.
Those are some good guns.
Jen used to do the wall climbing for a while, when she mainly when she was on campus back in her Nike days.
Mm-hmm.
Did they have the harnessed rock climbing?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
like
what
different skill levels and whatnot. But yeah,
that is what I appreciate about the circuit is it is not a rope climbing gym. It is just bouldering. So you don't use any gear. It's a pair of shoes and a bag of chalk.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And
sounds
then you just
wonderfully intimidating.
Oh, it's great. And the floor is like 2.5 feet of padding.
Yeah, so when you fall, it's like woo!
It's like poof. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like fun too.
They have very detailed instructions, like if you feel yourself falling, this is how you fall.
Right. Well, it looks like we're about to welcome our next guest, Sarah.
Sweet.
All right.
It's weird having a waiting room. I've never had to use it for the show. I use it for other things, but not the show.
Hello. Oh, she's connecting to audio.
It's connecting. Working. I always default to that voice.
Processing.
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you now.
Yay.
Hello.
Hello.
How are y'all doing?
Great.
Excellent.
Awesome. Me too.
Cable, would you like to do introductions?
Sure. This is Sarah Friesen, the regional manager of Guardian Games. She's actually the regional manager for Burke Retail, which is the parent company of Guardian Games and Rainy Day Games.
Yeah.
So,
great introduction. Thank you.
I was commenting today that this was going to be the first time that we've seen each other face to face for any length of time, because we've met each other with masks on.
Yep,
And
we've known each other
masks.
almost a whole year already, and only with masks.
It has almost been a year for you, hasn't it?
Yep, just about. Almost my 1-year anniversary.
Yay.
Congrats.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Strange first year at a job.
Definitely, yes. It's been a very bizarre year for sure. Yeah.
So
But,
go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I'm just gonna jump right in. Like, how's
Please.
how's the gaming world been? As you sip from a Catan glass, very cool.
I know. I got to bring some of my game cred with me. The gaming world is ready to be back at it again. I mean, the energy, we've only run 2 events as restrictions have lightened up, and just the energy of having 2 events across the last 2-3 weeks has been really inspiring and just a really motivating, wanting to get back out there and hang out with our community and play games with each other, get off our phones. I mean, this is a great use of screens. Obviously, here we are.
Right.
But definitely looking forward to some real connection in person and play and, you know, get to loosen up again. It's been such an uptight year for many reasons, and it'll just be so nice to be able to loosen up and play some games again.
Yeah, I'm going to be so emotional the first time I get to play D&D in person again.
Yeah,
I already know it. I'm just not going to get any play done. I'm like, guys, we're all at the table together.
Yeah, you're just gonna cry the whole time.
Yeah, and Bean will laugh at me for
Mhm.
it.
No, you'll probably get me going too.
Yeah, you have feelings.
Shush.
What were some of the things that like? Oh, go ahead, somebody.
What are some of the things? What were you saying?
It just went right out of my head though, so someone has.
Okay, I'll go. I was gonna say, what are, maybe this was your question. What are some of the things that you're doing in terms of like getting ready for this big rollover into like real world interactions again? Do you guys have like events or special game releases planned?
Yeah, we have our first release coming up. We are on pre-release weekend coming up this weekend with Modern Horizons 2, and then that'll be our first release the following weekend. Official release weekend. So we're starting to ramp up first in order to just like get the store and the team ready for inviting our community back into the store. We worked on, we ran one event, very limited capacity, lots of social distancing, all the protocols in place, lots of really safe. And from there, we wanted to make sure that it was a success before we started doing as many events as we used to. So we're slowly bringing more and more on board, starting with Magic. Really excited to get some more things going on. We are getting a little creative in the way that we're going to start launching some events. We're going to be working with other venues in the community to bring Guardian games out into the community as much as we can bring the community into Guardian games. So stay tuned for those announcements. I don't want to spoil any of our partners' marketing campaigns either. But stay tuned. We're hoping to get some role-playing games and even some board games going out into the city very soon, as to really just infuse the community aspect, give back to maybe the restaurants and the bars that have been really suffering this last year as well. The retail, especially in gaming, we haven't suffered quite as much, just because it's something that you can take home to get off your screen,
Right.
but you can't really do that with a bartender, a restaurant, kitchen chef, all that stuff. So we really want to make sure that we step out into the community too, not just wait for the community to come back to us. But I would expect, especially as Multnomah County and state of Oregon reduces mask mandates, that we'll be able to do much closer to full events by the end of the summer, if not midsummer. So hopefully we'll be getting back to some of the before times that we really loved. So
Yeah, and not that we can go into too much, but this show's talked about it before, that we have plans we want to try to do with Guardian also that are going to be exciting and fun. So
yes, let's build some content together. That'd be awesome.
yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah, I officially don't have any idea of any of the events that Sarah's talking about. I do know what she's talking about, but I officially don't.
Right.
It's unofficial. Yes.
And we never pressure Cable to say anything on the show.
Perfect.
I never do.
Well, once we have it official, it'd be actually great if you guys want to help spread the word. So
that's fine.
Yeah, that'd be
lots of
excellent.
that.
Yeah.
I think we can make that happen.
Mhm.
There's probably some sort of agreement around that.
Yeah, no, there literally is.
I've said this to Sarah at work, but I do appreciate the thought that she's put into the rollout to getting us back into doing events. Well, since that was one of the things that was one of my personal major concerns about dealing with the public at all. It's like, this we have to do this smart and we have to do it safely, and she's spearheaded doing all of that. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I like to, especially with the management in store and with cable support too. I like to do things as quickly as we can. Cable's definitely seen, my enthusiasm or maybe my intensity or pressure towards some deadlines that I like to create. But especially with something like this, we want to do it right. We want to do it safely. We also want it to not only be safe, but also to feel safe and fun. So it's almost like bursting our little protective bubbles that we've had for a year. We get to know, especially as if we're vaccinated or wherever we are on that spectrum, we can choose to loosen up those guidelines for ourselves. And it's, I still sometimes find myself like needing to pinch myself that real life is returning. It's been a long year, almost year and a half. So looking forward to getting some real community going, getting to meet more people, get them in our space, share our space.
Nice.
It's really cool.
Were there any games or types of games that kind of surprised you if you saw during the pandemic they were becoming more popular?
Well, one that wasn't so shocking but was right at the beginning was the game Pandemic. Personally, it didn't make me want to play it because I was like, I'm kind of done hearing this word. But much later into the pandemic, I did play it and I was like, okay, I don't see why Fauci's having such a problem. I cured this pandemic, so what's the big deal? But I understand I'm not the scientist. In reality, playing the board game Pandemic is not about how you really conquer a world pandemic, but that one was one that really, like, we couldn't keep it on the shelves at first, which was just, some people enjoy that, bring the reality to their gameplay,
We
Pandemic
have a lot of customers with gallows humor.
Yes,
exactly.
Pandemic should do an expansion, because they have like the one that's got like the bioterrorist expansion. They should have an expansion where one of the players is literally the plague denier and makes it hard to roll out anything when you're like, they just go around screwing everything up.
Well, I'm sure that's coming.
Yeah, put a competitive aspect in the cooperative game. That'd be perfect. Yeah.
I was just thinking about how I love Pandemic, but I'm also a really big fan of a game called Plague Inc. And in that game, you are not the person trying to prevent the pandemic. You are the pandemic. And that gave me a much more realistic expectation for how things did, in fact, turn out.
Yeah. That's
not dissimilar to Pandemic Contagion, where you are one of the diseases and you are competing with other diseases to try and wipe everything out.
Okay, that's
I also sold a lot of that at the beginning of the pandemic. People with
I want to be like, that feels like the next step in the process, but I don't want that to be true.
Yeah.
I don't think
we've got a question from one of our listeners, Kate Kane from Australia. She is asking about what your recommendations are for small group games, 2 to 3 people.
Well, for 2 players, my favorite is Patchwork. I'm also like an actual quilter, so I love that it's a crafty based game and you get to make something that's pretty while also being strategic. Other small group games, I find myself also doing a lot of single player. So I got pretty deep into Discover Lands Unknown, which is a pretty cool one. I think it's 1 to 5 players, but it's a little bit meatier, at least like an hour-long play. So plan accordingly. I have played it with a couple of groups, and out of the 3 groups I played it with, 1 group tapped out before completing, like they just didn't have the attention span for it. So it's a little bit, it's a little bit more, just more content in there that
it's
you have
crunchy.
to learn. Yes, it's crunchy. Yeah. So if you're looking, if you got a group that you're really looking for a challenge or looking for something that, you have to kind of scratch your head to solve it, that one's a good one. It's also, each time you play, it's a little bit different game, and each box that you buy is a different game included. So like different challenges and characters involved. So that's a cool way to mix it up. I actually ended up gifting it to someone just to out of self-interest to be able to play different terrains that were included. So that's a fun nuance of that game. But let's see, let me actually look at my game shelf here. My other favorite one, honestly, I have Pandemic here, but then there's this other one that's a Kickstarter one, and it's called Canvas. And that one's really fun, and it's a 2 to 3, I think 2 to 4 players. But that one's really unique, and you end up creating art pieces with different cards in them. So you can either choose to work with the strategy of the game for maximum points, or you can also choose to go for the aesthetic and try to make it as pretty as possible. You might be able to tell from the way I'm talking, but I love the things that are pretty. I went to art school. I love all that stuff. So you give me a game with a good cover or some fun flair, I'm going to be into it. I always joke with Cable that my next frontier is I want to get into some minis. But I don't know if our mini team is ready for me, because I'm going to make them all into like little disco war team. They're all going to be sparkly and hot neon colors. So, I like to see things from a different angle.
That'd be awesome.
I will pay for that start collecting box. I will pay for that one.
I mean, between your outfit and your home decor, you've got like some good aesthetic and like cohesive vibes going. So I don't think they're allowed to be mad at your Disco Warhammer.
Good. That's how I feel too. Is like try to get me in trouble for it. I don't know.
Get a set of like Blood Bowl and play the entire team.
Yes.
Like the sparkle pinks and the sparkle blues.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking is exactly that. Yes. The most goriest characters, but then they're just going to be bleeding like yellow and gold sparkles.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's my
we got some more questions from our listener from Norm in Texas. You might have kind of answered this already, but he asked what board or RPG games that are coming out soon that you're looking forward to playing with friends.
Me, I am such a homebody. I actually have never ventured into role-playing games. I once was in a play in middle school, and then that taught me that I can only be myself. So, so much so that they split the character that I was cast as between me and my sister, so they could cut the lines in half, so that they only had to watch half of us half of the time.
That story
spoilers.
is so precious.
Sarah is a twin.
Yeah, so it was also whenever you get the opportunity, I'm sure as a director, to play the Olsen twin trick with playing those two people playing the same character, walking into the same room and being like, what? So, but either way, I was only cast because I was a twin, not because I had any acting skills. So role-playing games, I would probably enjoy more to read them for content and for imagination, but probably not going to be anyone's cast of characters personally.
I would beg to differ with you, or I would like to encourage you to believe otherwise, because I cannot act to save my life. I've been in films; they were not great. No, the film was fine. I was not good in the film, but
be
but
careful.
like
You're friends with the people who made the movies.
I know, and that's why I rephrase it. The movie was fine; it was good. But I was not good in that movie. But my point is, I cannot act. I'm not that like particularly creative in that way, but I still do pretty well. In fact, I frequently find myself in these weird leadership positions in the games that I'm in with these two characters, and I don't understand how that works. But you can do it. And you might have to start off small, but it's a lot of fun, and I want you to not be discouraged from tabletop games or role-playing games.
I appreciate that. I like a good challenge. Maybe I can turn the tables and ask you a question. What's the RPG that I should start with?
Ooh.
I know.
Oh no.
I know, you just met me. It's a big question.
I know. I'm trying to think.
This is what it's like working with her too.
5e is
Yeah. I just have to turn the question around. Little do you know, that's how I do.
Diabolical. It's probably a good place to start. It's more streamlined than some of the other games in terms of mechanics and how many different rules there are. And then just, my rule, don't start with spellcasters. That's fucking hard and complicated, and you're gonna do it wrong a lot, and I don't like to be wrong. So
that's
maybe you and I should play together. I feel like we have a lot in common.
Fantastic.
I don't like to
Agreed.
be wrong either.
Oh, there we
Let's
go. Cable agrees, so it must
I
be true.
agree. That's
Trying to think of
very true.
I'm trying to think of really story-driven games that maybe don't have as much mechanics, but that also requires a bit more getting into the character. So that might be a tricky thing for you to ease into.
Mm-hmm.
What
'Cause
was
I'm
the
thinking of-
game?
I think
I'm thinking of games like what is it? Thirsty Sword Lesbians. Is
That one
very
we just got that when we sold out of it before we hit Pride Month, unfortunately. But
it's
we were
really
gonna put
good.
it. We were gonna put it next to our RPG, Hot Guys Making Out. So and have both categories represented. But we sold out of the Thirsty Lesbian.
The other one would be Blades in the Dark, but that's also a very in-character intensive. But it allows for a lot of flexibility. It's like if you fail a roll that might knock you out or kill you, you can basically say, well, I don't think that should happen because here's why, and you can lessen your damage, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm very persuasive. That sounds like a good one.
Sorry, we need to go back to the Hot Guys Making Out part. You're telling me everything.
There's an RPG called Two Hot Guys Making Out.
Mhm.
Yep.
And it has two shirtless boys on the cover making out.
Yep.
It's very yaoi.
How did I not know this?
Well, now you do. I was actually going to say that, Sarah, my recommendation was if we can find you a good GM for it, getting into a game of Fiasco.
Yeah.
It's simple dice rolling. It's all D6s, and it is farcical humor disguised as a role-playing game.
Oh, that would be funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Well, great. I'll be tomorrow at work. I'll be shopping the RPG section. Just you wait.
Nice. I had someone pitch Fiasco to me as living in a Coen Brothers movie, where
Ooh.
things just
that's
keep getting
about right.
more and more worse and funnier as you go along.
That's a good sell.
Yeah,
And
that's a really good sell because it's dark but funny, and you don't really know how dark or how funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, we all laugh about how great Fargo is and then kind of forget, like, oh, that's right, the wood chipper scene. Except we're laughing during the wood chipper scene.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly that. That's a perfect visual for it too.
Yeah. Well, now you have some work cut out. And we'll help ease you into it.
Yeah, I needed some homework, so this is good. This is fun. This is a fun homework that I'm looking forward to. So great.
Excellent.
Ooh, that's awesome. Well, let's see. You can't really talk about things that are coming up because there's nothing official yet.
Yes, yeah.
So,
but maybe we should schedule a future date too, and talk again in a little later in the summer even, or maybe earlier in the fall too. We'll have some cool things to talk about for sure.
Oh yeah, can't wait.
Oh, definitely.
Because we have to do Halloween. We have to redo Halloween so big this year. Like it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just submitting now Halloween week. It's not one day. Like October 31st goes for 5 days straight.
I used to celebrate it that way, and I just referred to it as Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah.
That's the best portmanteau ever.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got really excited.
You've
there.
met me.
Yeah.
Do you guys already know what you're going to dress up as for Halloween? Or Halloween, I guess I should say.
Mm.
Oh no.
7 days. Does that mean 7 costumes?
Of course it does.
Heck yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a couple
One day
go-tos
usually
already.
means 7 costumes. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I gotta go as like some weird, creepy wizard eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Put baubles all over me. I might do Sala again from Indiana Jones.
Good one.
If I feel comfortable being relatively shirtless the whole night, I truly feel like I should do Prince Voltan at least once in my life from Flash Gordon.
Yes, you should.
Yes.
Wings
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
I usually cycle through at least 4 of my Star Trek costumes, and
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I can always go as
I haven't made a
generic.
new costume in a while. I feel like I should make something new.
Yeah. I was thinking about being Jadzia Dax this year, just because I love the spots. They're so cute, and I haven't had hair this long in so long, so I'm like, oh, I can do an updo with some spots. Last year I was Bilbo Baggins, so
he was a very good Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah,
We're gonna need to see
Or I
pictures
guess
of that.
I was actually Frodo. Technically,
yep.
Actually, sorry, I forgot.
Yeah.
I had the ring, and everything, but.
Did you have hairy
I took
feet?
photos.
Yeah, I actually I had to work. I had to work, but I have some faux fur, and so I put it on a pair of shoes that I was wearing.
It worked
that
really
were
well.
the shoes were kind of skin colored, so it looked like I just had furry shoes, but yeah, I had my furry feet on for sure. And I had a tiny, and I had a little, I didn't have the sword, but I had the sheath on my waistband.
Mm-hmm.
So, I didn't
Nice.
I didn't have the blade because, you got to be safe at work, but.
But it tells you when goblins are nearby.
No, mine, it's malfunctioning. It just never turns blue. Like, I don't know what's the problem.
Which is weird because it's a building full of goblins.
You're literally surrounded by orcs and goblins.
I was gonna make that joke, but I was like, no, I shouldn't make fun of the patrons of Guardian Games while we have the Guardian Games sponsor person on air, and then cable it in.
No, we literally have a goblin in the store.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
he
we
meant
do.
patrons. There's a literal goblin when you walk.
Yeah, and he was haunting
Make that joke,
the
he would
walls
come out
across
that way.
today. Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like saying it would be like making fun of either employees or customers. So I didn't say it. I just
Well, I have the haircut of the goblin, so it's fine.
I feel bad. I kind of want to steal that one kid's gelatinous cube cosplay they went as. That was wonderful.
that was so good.
This little girl was dressed up as like an explorer, and she's trapped inside the gelatinous cube. And they had hung other bits of metal inside it. She'd walk around going, ah.
That's so cool.
She was the
That's
cutest
really
of that.
creative. Yeah. That's
And definitely some engineering went into that. So
Oh yeah.
just impressive on all levels.
The costume was amazing. Well, now I got to think about stuff. It'll be good.
Yeah. You got a couple months to figure it out. So this is the time. You can start your vision board.
That's true. I should start doing that. Absolutely.
Pinterest, here I come.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah, in our last couple minutes, is there anything that you would like to impart upon our listeners, even if it's maybe like not stepping on the toes of any of your partners, but just exciting stuff to expect from Guardian as the world turns over?
Well, let's see. Definitely exciting things. We've been working on making ourselves as available as we can to all communities in the last year and 6 months. Some things moving quickly. Some things, we launched a website just in May last month. And so that's been an exciting thing to get going for Guardian Games, trying to bring Guardian to a larger community, not just necessarily Portland locals. Not quite shipping to Australia for that question we had earlier, but we'll be working on our international shipping options soon. But
Gotta get those national ones locked down first.
Yeah.
Australia is very expensive to ship to. I've done it.
Yeah. You could probably find something cheaper locally, but if you can't, we would love to have your business. But mainly the real thing that we're working on in the short term is getting these events going, making sure we're here not only for the community, but also becoming a part of the community again. Like I said before, we want to go venture out into the community a little bit more, expand beyond just our location in the industrial district and our second location in Aloha. But we want to just be there for the community. This has been the heart and soul that's been missing over the last year. It has, while it's only been my first year with Guardian Games, to know how it feels walking into it during a pandemic. I mean, it was a really tough place to start. It was a tough place where the team was at when I met Cable, when I met everybody. So it's just super exciting to see everyone's spirits lift. Not only just daylight savings and having the sun out longer has been a big help, but also as the pandemic goes away, we just want to get back to doing things the way we used to, be friends with people. I don't know, have some friendly fights with people too, whatever it looks like. We're here for all the characters. We want to make sure that continues, and it's been something that's been greatly missed for all of us in the store or outside of it. We just can't wait to get to hosting events again. This has been a huge aspect of our business that not even the business, but of the space that has just been missing. So I'm really excited to see the soul kind of get reinfused in the store, and that happens with every team member, but also with every person who walks in the door. So it's just been so exciting and just great to see everything starting to lighten up. And yeah, good riddance with this pandemic. Next page, let's go.
That sounds good.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Sarah, thanks so much for popping on. It was great to actually speak to you now without a mask on also. So
Yeah, you too. You too. Great to meet you almost in real life.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get a chance to do that again sometime
Right.
Soon
in the
enough.
future. But yeah, let's definitely collaborate on some content going forward, and maybe off the recorded record, we could also maybe discuss some of the things that we're working on and see how maybe we can collaborate on making them even greater.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Really great to talk with you all too. Have an awesome night.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Sarah.
You too.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
She's awesome.
Yep.
Just realized I guess I was the only one who hadn't actually met her in any capacity before right now.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She's nice though. I liked her. I look forward to getting to know her better. Also, I just want to point out that multiple people in the chat really wanted to get back to the two hot guys making out conversation, the topic of conversation.
I'm well aware.
And I held it in. I was like, no, I'm not going to derail our guest talk
I will take photos
by
at work
repeatedly
tomorrow
coming
and
back
we'll
to
send
the.
it to you.
You know what's funny is I literally, when I was picking up the Usagi RPG today, I came this close to buying a copy of that for Bean, of the Too Hot, just almost as a goof.
It would have been fun.
He does have a birthday coming up, everybody. Just FYI.
Dude, we are officially in my birth week, you guys.
Yeah,
That is true.
So you're welcome for not making it all about me all of the time. On this very special episode.
It's awesome. Also, I like Ida's idea. We weren't thinking big enough, and it's Octoberween, just the whole month.
That's true. I mean, if anyone knows how to do Halloween for a month, it's Ida.
That's true.
That's why she's my role model.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I'm seeing the chat now. Yeah, you got him going.
Yep. Kate, I'll have to figure out how to send you photos of all of the entire Pandemic Legacy family. They're big boxes. They
are big.
Very expensive to send to Australia. Not impossible, but we'll talk. Yeah.
I sent like a book from a backer. I sent a comic from Dark Anna of a backer in not Australia, New Zealand, equally far for shipping. And I think it cost me $20 to send a comic book to
that's a lot
to Auckland.
A floppy. Yeah. Something that's a $5 shipping fee.
Yeah. The trick they teach you if you're running a Kickstarter is called the Starbucks. It's called the Starbucks rule. Go to anywhere pretty much in the world where you're like any country you're shipping to, and just Google a Starbucks location in like the city where they live, and find out how much it would cost to send there. And that gives you the idea.
Interesting.
Yeah. Here we go. A Shandy ring is showing up.
Hey, no, this is the time for the Rockford Files music.
Oh, that's right.
Hold
That's his introduction, and now he's like, "What the hell are they doing?"
Nothing. It has nothing. He might not even like that show, but
I'm trying to. Oh, he adores the Rockford Files. Are you kidding me?
Oh no, I meant Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, no,
Michael Ring, how do you feel about Cowboy Bebop?
I love Cowboy Bebop. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're a little quiet.
Okay, I'll try to speak up a little more.
Oh yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. How you going? How's it doing?
Oh, nice to see all your smiling faces. I mean, I see them online, and I'm obviously seeing you guys online. I've seen Cable in person.
Right.
And Aaron occasionally. And
Denise a couple times.
I've seen you a couple times, but
But only this much of me.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah. Yeah, you guys haven't been able to see like all the new gray in my beard.
I know, man. It's working out pretty well there. You're kind of getting like that older Hal Jordan look going on.
I like how you think. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know exactly how to appeal to his vanity, don't you?
Yes.
100%.
It was like that one time I was feeling kind of bad about parts of my beard going gray, and Merrick said, "No, you kind of make that, Doctor Strange vibe work." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Okay, never mind. I don't feel bad anymore about it. So how have you been, Shandy Ring?
Oh, probably about the same as everybody else. Good. Just adapting and surviving and trying to figure out new ways to do everything.
Right. Well, I feel like a lot of people don't realize this, but I feel like the comic industry took a pretty heavier hit due to the pandemic than most people realize.
We gotta back up a second for some of our more international listeners, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between and beyond that. Those categories. Please meet Michael Ring, aka Shandy Ring, proprietor of Bridge City Comics.
Oh yeah, that too.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, please continue.
Should we explain where Shandy Ring came from, or do you think everybody basically has been around?
You only have 25 minutes, dude.
Okay, never mind.
Plus, I barely remember where it came from, so
it's not a very detailed story.
Well, that's true. That's true. I brought some shandies to the studio when we did this in person, and then
that's right.
Yeah, and then we started riffing on, Shandy Ring.
Oh, Shandy Ring now.
Yeah. Fridays on NBC, that kind of thing.
I'd watch that show still.
Oh, I totally would too.
So how is the comic world doing? I know from my end how it's doing. It's doing slow.
It's it's been very interesting. There's been a lot of challenges.
It is weird as fuck.
But not necessarily tied to the pandemic and having to shut our doors. Like DC left Diamond and went to 2 online retailers who then became distributors, and then one of them fell out, and now there's one left. But now Marvel's not leaving Diamond, but they're also being distributed by Random House come October. So that's a whole nother thing.
Which means they're leaving Diamond.
Well, so this is the interesting thing. So Diamond is a customer of Random House. So you can stay with Diamond and still get your stuff, but ultimately now it's just another middleman. Diamond's just another middleman. So why not just go with Random House?
Yeah.
So now we're looking at, in addition to all the other distributors we deal with, now we're getting new product. It used to just be we'd get new product for the most part from Diamond, but now it's going to be Random House and Lunar and Diamond. So we're going to be receiving every week 3 different shipments of new product, not to mention all the shit we get from Simon & Schuster and whoever else. Yeah. Scholastic,
but
things like that.
Isn't that what we used to talk about would be nice if Diamond no longer had the monopoly?
It is, because in theory, increased competition will drive prices down, and it'll make service better and stuff like that. But it's not how it works. It's just we've traded one monolith, because you can still only get DC stuff from one distributor, and you can still really only get Marvel stuff coming up from one distributor. I mean, all it did was serve to kneecap Diamond, which is potentially going to have a trickle-down effect on smaller publishers. I suspect Boom and Image and IDW and those guys are going to go somewhere else, maybe to Random House, maybe to Lunar. But ultimately, the really small guys, AWA Studios or
Avatar or Aftershock,
those guys, yeah, exactly. Those are the ones that are going to have to scramble and try to find a place, because who knows what Diamond is going to end up doing, if they're even going to be around this time next year.
Right. I mean, Diamond didn't do themselves any favors, though, with how they would handle things at times.
Absolutely. No, they could have seen this coming for a decade.
At least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their answer was always, what are you going to do about it? We're it. Well, you're not going to be it forever. Like, it's just not going to happen.
The second that Disney closed the deal and bought Marvel, that was the day that I went, Diamond's days remembered.
Yeah.
Because once Disney figures out that they don't need Diamond to distribute Marvel comics because they're fucking Disney, Diamond is dead. And I'm like, and once Disney figures that out, Time Warner's going to go, oh yeah, we don't need them either. Yeah. We own DC. We can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, well, and Warner's has had a deal with Scholastic for decades.
Mm-hmm.
So I always wondered why, like, one day someone at Warner's is like, why are we paying this one company to ship this one type of product? Would we already have like a book publisher and distribution network that we're partners with?
Yeah.
And to be honest, we've seen time and time again, if you want to have comics succeed, you get them into the hands of young readers. What's the best way to do that? Sell it through Scholastic.
Yeah.
Oh man, if comics were in the Scholastic book fairs, that would be that would have been a life-changing thing for me.
Raina Telgemeier has been telling us for years.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be an interesting thing to watch the next year, 2 years, 3 years. What happens to the direct market comic industry? Because comics are still going to happen. They're still going to be produced. Yeah. It's just, how do you get them, and where do you get them, and who's going to be selling them to you? Hopefully it'll be comic shops still. I think it will. I think a lot of comic shops have done a great job in creating community, and because you can buy anything you want off Amazon, but you can't have a discussion with somebody at Amazon about, oh, my kid likes these 3 books. What else do you have that they would maybe like? Or
whatever. My kid got into the DC superhero squad, the high school show.
Yeah.
Like, do they make comics about that? Because I want them to keep reading, Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a couple industries where like it really, really pays. Like it's really, really beneficial, needful to have an expert that you can go to. Like I went to a garden center today to say, these are the plants that I need to pot, and I want to like give them the best environment. Tell me what to buy, because I literally don't know. And I could have bought any of that stuff at almost any shop that has a garden center, or even online, Amazon, whatever, but it's not the same. Like someone has to be there to tell me like, this is what's going to work best for you and your plant and what they need. And comics is one of those industries where you can spend whatever amount of money and just like willy-nilly, like you're buying CDs. How many CDs have you bought because you heard one good song and you hate the rest of the album?
Right.
With comic book shops, especially once you've built up a history, like a lot of people, us included, at Bridge City, they get to know you get to know them, and they're like, hey, this just came out. You probably haven't heard of it, but you're gonna love it. You specifically.
Perfect example, Denise. Remember at Christmas time, I pinged you and I was like, hey, this David Bowie coloring book came in. If you're looking for Christian for Christmas, like, what do you think? And you're like, holy crap. Perfect. Yeah.
I hope he doesn't listen to this episode, because now he's going to know that I get half of my gift recommendations for him from you.
Hopefully the half he likes.
No, he has liked everything. So you are like batting 100 or whatever the phrase is. I don't know baseball.
Batting 1,000.
Batting 1,000. Yes. On comic book recommendations for my spouse.
Excellent. Good to know.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I remember that back when I ran that one shop, like this mom came in and she's like, look, my son's really into zombies, but I don't want him reading The Walking Dead. I flipped through it. It's a little too violent for him. But every time I see like kitty zombie books, she's like, he still wants it to be kind of scary. She's like, what do I do? And I was like, like I bring her to Afterlife with Archie. She would have never known that by just looking online. There's just no way. And I threw in my little commentary of like, actually, I think it's better than The Walking Dead. I know it's Archie, and you'll be like, really, Archie? I'm like, trust me, you're gonna love it too. Kind of stuff. So
yeah.
And you can't get that when you're online. You just can't.
Yep.
I think they'll be kind of like almost kind of how we treat like record stores now. Like vinyl didn't go away. I mean, it's even having a resurgence now, but there's something about that experience of looking at the items, talking to the person who works there, talking to the other. Half the fun of New Comic Book Day is talking to your fellow box customers.
Yeah.
And being like, oh, are you reading? Like, oh, I haven't caught up with that yet. You should check this out. And just nerding out for like half an hour in the shop.
Mhm.
You know.
I guess
Yeah.
that makes Ring our resident Rob, the shop owner.
He's not quite that curmudgeon.
Oh,
And nor
there.
does he constantly ask us to make top 5 lists.
Oh.
Oh, that's
True.
well. Yeah, that's true.
He is a little curmudgeonly though.
I'm old and I'm tired.
That just comes with
And I've survived a pandemic just like all of us. We're all curmudgeons now.
So yeah, who are you talking to? Everyone in this chat is old and tired.
And
You're
you just
all younger
celebrated
than
your
me.
13th anniversary in April?
16.
Or 16th.
Thank
16th. That's right.
Damn. What happened to 10? Didn't you just have your 10
It was 6 years ago.
I'll tell you what happened to my 10th anniversary. I got a divorce. So that kind of put a pallor over things.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
So the thing to remember is Geek and Sea Radio, Bridge City Comics, Guardian Games, and Sequential Art all opened in 2005.
That's true. Right.
They are all the same age.
Yeah.
And
Because I covered
we
all
are
3 of them. Yeah.
We've all been linked for all that time.
Just this nerdy, incestuous Mobius strip of dorkdom.
A little bit.
But it's not. It's I think it's a beautiful testament to the community in Portland that all four of these things and every other thing that has kind of, you know, the Hollywood theater and our connections with the Hollywood and, you know, stuff like that. It's just, we really helped create this, or at least shepherd this geek community. I really do feel that way, that we've all kind of had a piece of the pie in making this a place, a city that embraces this stuff. You know, it's giving people a place to go, whether it's the comic shop or it's, you know, Guardian or Sequential or listening to Geek in the City, going to our events. I mean, not to pat myself on the back and everybody else on the back, but that's pretty awesome. I think it's pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, I do sometimes forget that too. Like, I'll look back and I forget, like, oh, that's right. Like, the Broadsides made their debut on Geek and City Radio. The Double Clicks, like their second quote live event was on this show. Yeah. Like all these little things that I kind of forget, like happened on this show, kind of thing. Like
they both performed at Bridge City Comics.
Yeah.
Like Rev Nat bought, before he was even Rev Nat, like he just bought, you know, labelless cider to the show, and he's like, this is what I think we're gonna start doing, you know. Spoilers, we're not having Rev Nat on. He's the one who's not making it. Because we all forgot to ask.
But Denise is repping, at least.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm basically, I talk to Nat so often these days that I got nothing. Sorry.
That's right.
I'm sorry, Nat.
We're gonna have him on plenty when that Lord of the Rings show actually launches. Like this is because he's gonna need to nerd out so hard over that.
Also, he's on this. He's here with us a lot. So
that's true.
This is somebody else's turn today.
It's Michael's turn now.
Can I just say, you guys are my favorite marketing expense.
Yay! Thanks.
I'm offended you have more than one.
Hey, it's marketing. I'm a businessman. I got to market.
Yeah, no. You have to market.
All right.
I would never expect that we were the only one.
I don't either. I just like to give Ring a hard time. That's like our whole dynamic.
I did have another semi-local shop reach out and say like, hey, do you sell like ad space? And I'm like, well, we do, but we already have a comic book shop. And that's kind of how the rules I always decided. Like, we could have a game store, we can have a comic book shop. If you are something different, like if you're, I don't know, a toy store, okay, I can work with that. You know.
Well, I appreciate that.
Told them no. Yeah. Now, in all fairness, if they come back with a crazy price, I'll be like, hey, Marker.
We had a really good run, didn't we?
That was a good time, man.
Oh, that's fine. Oh.
Norm had a question. Is there a comic release coming out that you are super pumped for? Although I feel like much like someone who creates comics, if you sell comics, you don't get to read many of them.
That it's a weird paradox, but it's true. I'll tell you the one that I was most excited about recently was the new Green Lantern relaunch. I know, shock of shock, but it's really good. It's
way to stay on brand.
That's not the Grant Morrison one, is it? Or is it the
No. The Grant Morrison one, it kind of got in the weeds a little bit, but this one
it got Grant Morrison-y.
It got Grant Morrison.
Shocking.
But this one, it's the core is now a part of the United Federation of Planet, or the United Planets.
Okay.
And so the Guardians are like giving up like a third of their territory, but they're exploring space, so they sent 1,000 Green Lanterns in a spaceship to like the dark sector, or like this previously unexplored part of the universe. And
that sounds cool.
Losing my shit over it. It's so good. I want to say I'm forgetting. I'm looking up the writer right now, and I'm not terribly familiar with this guy, but
well, while he's looking that up really quick, because he slipped up as the United Federation of Planets, the Star Trek Green Lantern crossover was way better than it had any right to be.
Absolutely,
so
it was.
Try and find that trade if you can find it.
It's so good. This guy named Jeffrey Thorne is writing this new Green Lantern, and 3 issues in, and I am all over it. It is so good. So Norm, I don't know if that answers your question. It's not something upcoming, but it's ongoing. So
nice.
I have something upcoming that is not a comic, but comic based, and I think that people will be really excited about. Is Why the Last Man is being made into a TV show. Yeah. And it is like less than 3 months from like being on our screens.
Yeah,
nice.
I'm super stoked about that. And I just watched finally the first episode of Sweet Tooth last night.
Oh, how'd you like it?
I really liked it.
It's so good.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. I mean, and Will Forte, like, he's just so
not
good.
a role you expect to see him in. Well, not me anyway. I'm not the biggest fan of his. Right. But I was pleasantly surprised by his performance.
Yeah.
Ooh, Dexter Soy is the artist of that Green Lantern series. They're really good. Yeah.
Why do I know that name?
Captain Marvel.
Yep.
Cool. That's fun.
Yeah, it's
I like the idea of this teenage girl building a gauntlet powered by the ring. That's cool. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, it's I will say though, in this, it does feel like they don't quite know what to do with her. I feel like this guy Thorne had this idea for, okay, we're gonna do this thing and send him off in the outer reaches of space, and then the powers that be were like, nah, you should probably include this character. But they're also bringing in I'm forgetting her name from Far Sector too.
The one that N.K. Jemisin wrote.
Yeah, and that's pretty good because she is interacting with the Teen Lantern, the girl you mentioned,
right? And folks should check out Far Sector. It was really good.
Yeah. I think the last issue comes out tomorrow. I think so. The trade hardcover should be out in a few months.
Because the whole premise of that one is that she was a lantern in this sector that hadn't had a murder in like 1,000 years. Like it was the most peaceful sector. Like they had to have a lantern, but that lantern never had to do really anything other than stop natural disasters, and then shit goes sideways.
Yeah.
Didn't even know N.K. Jemisin had a comic book.
Mm-hmm. I do like the idea of that concept. If your society hasn't had a murder in 1,000 years, like what does it do to your society when one finally happens?
Yeah. And it's interesting the way she set up the world building in it, and having these three races that are like, it's this delicate political balance, and like that's the other great part of it is it's like it's a political thriller too.
Yeah,
it's not really what you think of when you're thinking about space cops.
Right. Yeah,
that's
cool.
True.
And the other question Norm had is, was there a comic that you were surprised how well it did during the pandemic. I don't know if he meant like because of its. I don't know.
To compare it.
Yeah.
Oh no! If you have an answer, go ahead.
No. I mean, I'm thinking. So
I was gonna say, well, to compare it, when we talked to Guardian Games, we were all laughing about how popular the board game Pandemic was at the beginning of the real life pandemic.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I don't think he necessarily means it that way. It could just be like a book that ended up being really popular over the last year that you didn't maybe think it was going to be. Doesn't have to be pandemic related.
Right.
You know, an interesting one that's been out for a while. It's called Die. It's by Kieran Gillen.
Yep.
We covered that one when it first came out.
I love that book.
And I wonder, we ended up like we had a bunch of people buying it off our website or emailing us about it and other things, because there was a stretch where there was no new product. But even now, like the sales on the first 3 trades, and especially the first trade, are crazy. Like I can barely keep this thing in stock. And I wonder, I think it's a really good book. I think he brought over a lot of people from Wicked and the Divine, but I also think it shows an intersection of comics and gaming.
Yeah.
That there are probably a lot of gamers who, I don't know what the gaming release schedules, how much they were affected, but I think people just looking for things that appeals to them, obviously. But if you're a gamer, maybe you've heard about this book and you're like, oh,
yeah. I mean, it helps that like D&D is bigger than it's ever been because of streaming shows, and he's appeared on a few of them. Like he's not really, he's chatted a little bit about how much role playing and comics were like they're inseparable in his life from childhood. Like he's made no, he's always celebrated that fact. So I'm sure you got a lot of crossover from RPG players.
He still talks about how much Gillen is a big gamer. Like
the back matter is all gaming.
Well, 1/3 of his Instagram feed is his goddamn Warhammer models.
Oh, dude, I'm in a Discord that has him on it, and I thought that like it would be a lot of people talking with comics about him. Like he lives on the gaming section.
Yeah.
And
that makes
we'll
sense.
spend days talking about paint wash mixes to make his Warhammers look right. Yeah, no,
although
is a true believer.
When I think about why I love Die so much, it's not about the gaming tie-in. Like it is dark and it is sad and it is beautiful and it's so relatable, because of the different ways that all of the characters handle their trauma. It is a collective trauma, but they all handle it differently. And it's this. I'm not going to get into it because I feel like I could really like do a whole dissertation on what makes Die so wonderful. All this to say, like, it's not even just about the gaming aspect or like how it connects to other fandoms.
Right.
It's just fucking good.
Mm-hmm. One other book that actually that did take me by surprise was the Critical Role Vox Machina comics. Those were hardcore. I mean, people were coming out of the woodwork for those, but I think that's because of a podcast, and then they promote on the podcast, and then
It's also because that over 2020 and into 2021, they basically did this massive rollout of all of their related products.
Yeah.
Like we went from, we really want a Critical Role product. Why is there no Critical Role product? To here are branded gaming bags. Here's dice. Here are trays.
You name it, we got it.
Yeah.
Here are pop finals. Here's art source books. Here's campaigns and campaigns and campaigns. So yeah.
A few months ago, I had no idea what Critical Role was, and now I cannot even have Twitter on my phone without constantly being updated about Critical Role, and I don't follow it. Just shoving it in my face.
I feel that way about the Blazers.
Don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, you're
Aw.
good for
Good.
What?
Except for the whole hunt for a new coach thing. So
yeah. And when they think about hiring the guy that's got like a huge abusive background,
awesome.
yeah, cool, nice, tight.
Unsubscribe. Well, what else you got for us, Rim? I know you got a new cat. You got a new teenager. What else is up?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I got a big fat lazy bear of a cat.
Okay, I wasn't sure where you're going with that one. I was like, I know she doesn't listen to the show, but careful.
Yeah, no, Larry's the cat, and he is the worst. But he's big and fluffy. So
I mean,
that's
all cats are
That's
the
just worst.
That's just cats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My
All the
kid
dogs
is-
are good dogs. All cats are.
Yeah. I got a teenager, 13 and a half. So we're navigating that, which is great, especially with online school. No, but the kid is awesome. She's like taking up golf, which I have no clue where that came from.
Is she secretly an old white man? Is it your fault? Did you do this?
So I don't know how to respond to that. I don't like golf. I don't golf. I don't even mini golf really.
No.
But she loves the 90s apparently. She loves the fashion of the 90s.
Yeah,
She
that's
has
about
a fanny
right.
pack.
She's doesn't have a fanny pack, but has mom jeans.
Cool.
Very cool. Yeah. So
Mom
man.
jeans all day. Why mad, yo?
and you know what? I'll take it because rather than, her showing off her goods, I'd rather have, some coverage. But that's just because I'm her dad. So
That's fair.
so I don't know. What else? I don't know, man.
So curmudgeon.
Everybody, every day's a new challenge. Just like it is.
But
for
tomorrow's
everybody.
new comic book day. That's always fun.
That is.
I should pick up some comics tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna be working in the store more too.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, weird hours. It's gonna be like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 11 to 1, and then Saturday nights. But
Those are peak hours.
yeah. So that'll be fun. It'll be nice to see people more than I have been.
Right.
Be a little more of a beautiful face to the shop.
I know I had to stop saying good in there and give Michael a hug. No one could be giving hugs right now.
Mm,
Yes.
So I had to drop that part.
yeah.
Yeah. But one day, soon-ish, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, the Shandy hugs will return.
I'll always have Shandy hugs for you three, even if you don't
Aw.
want them. Well,
Aw, yeah.
consent, yes.
Yes.
That's
'cause we know we're all
Thing to
vaccinated.
say.
As long as you consent to it, I'll have hugs for you.
And then whether we want it or not.
Yes.
That's right. I consent to being annoyed by this.
However that works.
Sorry,
Yeah, it's
I
just-
keep looking away because Irma is spazzing out.
Yes.
Irma.
As she do.
It's
So
past
What,
my dinner time. I want my food.
we're almost there. Really? Is there a publisher, Michael, that's been kind of cranking out some fun stuff that you didn't expect?
Aftershock has
Yeah.
been surprising. Because for a long time they were just kind of this dark, weird stuff, and now they're dark and weird, but they also have other stuff. So there's a new book out this week called Bunny Mask, which I am actually super intrigued by.
Go
That's a
on.
Paul Tobin book.
Yeah, that's right. It is.
Oh, okay, cool.
Aftershock has done well. Image is still cooking. Yeah.
I noticed that Aftershock is also doing an all ages line as well as their horror line, if I remember correctly.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I don't think it's happened yet.
Yeah, I think it was something that was announced late last year.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, man, it's good to have you on.
It's good to be on. It's good to
Hanging
see
out.
everybody.
Looking at your Neil Adams Green Arrow in the background there. It's the Hard Traveling Heroes box set, right?
I did not place that there on purpose. That has been there since we did it for our book club a few months ago, and I have to rearrange my shelves.
Yeah, I wasn't going to
Sure.
say anything, but
Yeah.
they look.
Ooh, Can I show you guys one thing real quick?
Sure.
I gotta go, but I posted it on Facebook. But for the people who are not friends of mine on Facebook, I got this dope
I saw that.
sketch
That's a
from
Michael Clark, isn't it?
No.
what? No,
Matthew.
This is,
Matthew Clark.
No.
oh, Matthew. No,
Nope.
It's
this
not?
is no. It's from an old time inker, Romeo Tengal, who inked George Perez on the New Teen Titans, among other things. But I became friends with him on Facebook. He does this. He's retired now, so he basically does this for fun. Charges like $50 for a sketch.
What?
And,
That's a
yeah.
steal.
Yeah.
I gave him a little more than 50. Hence, I think why it's a little more detailed. But I'm super stoked, man. I just lost my mind when I saw it when he sent this back. So
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. I
And
gotta
no
find
one tell Matthew I misidentified somebody else.
I didn't hear anything.
Well, the pose is actually very similar to how he'll pose characters, so I could see why you would do that.
Oh, I totally
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I still have the original Green Lantern that Ibrahim drew for me, like the first holiday season I worked at Tifa.
No kidding.
Yeah, so it's like 2012 when he drew it for me.
Yeah.
Yep, I still have that sucker. It's one of my favorites. He
That's
just gave it to
awesome.
me. He's like, "Thanks for being a cool store manager here. Here you go." It's
That's
all
so
gorgeous and in color, and
Yeah,
I
man,
remember it because it's the only time I ever saw Green Lantern with pockets on his uniform. He's got a pocket on each side. I was like, yeah, even if I do control the most powerful weapon, I'm gonna want, keep my space wallet.
Well, you
Yeah.
put your house keys, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever seen that, Aaron.
No, I'll show it to you next time.
Yeah.
I can't go get it now because it's literally like mounted on the wall on the stairs.
No. But I mean, even if you wanted to send me a picture, text me a picture,
Yeah.
post it on Facebook or something, I would love to see it. I love Ibrahim. He's one of those guys that is such an amazing talent that, I mean, I'm not going to say he came out of nowhere, but
No.
I mean, he really was very fully formed when he kind of showed up 10 years ago.
He busted his butt to get where he's at right now. And
Totally.
yeah, hopefully good things keep happening for him.
Yeah. It's good people.
Oh, we should
Yeah.
check in on him soon.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had Ibrahim on the show.
Well, I mean,
All the more reason to check in on him.
I don't know.
he's got
He
that book,
did
The
do a
Couch.
gallery show with sequential art. Did we not have him on?
We might have had him on for that then.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that would have been years ago.
Yeah.
That was for High Crimes.
Oof.
No,
Oh,
he
yeah.
wasn't on for that.
That was
Was
the
he?
first time I had him in for a signing. I think was High Crimes, him and
Mhm.
Isabella. So
Nice.
yeah,
All the connections this show has made. I forget a lot of them.
Hey.
Yeah. Well, Michael, thanks for coming on. We're actually going to sign off here. If you want to sign off with us.
yeah, sure.
All right.
Cool.
Have no idea what we have planned for next week. But we plan for one episode. That's all you get.
We put all
I
our
do
brain
know
energy
what-
into this.
Oh, wait,
I
shit.
do know what next week is. Next week we will cover 2 episodes of The Bad Batch and the first
Yes.
episode of Loki, which
Oh,
starts
that's right.
Oh, that's right.
Starts
I
at
get
midnight
Loki
tonight,
for my
yeah.
birthday.
Woo!
Happy birthday.
All right, then. Well, it's going to be an all Disney and Marvel next week. And with that, I'm Aaron Duran.
I'm Beanarita.
And I am Cable Hashitani.
And that's been Shandering.
Yeah.
Thanks for 600 episodes, everybody.
They're all
Thanks for doing-
wonderful.
more, but we'll see.
Thanks for doing 600 episodes.
Yeah,
That's-
we've got to at least hold out till 666.
Thanks for paying for 600 episodes.
Yeah.
I haven't paid for 600, but I will. Just keep going.
Make
All
that
right.
Will do.
note of
Deal.
that.
Deal. That is
Alright.
a contractually binding agreement.
Yeah. Good night, everybody. Thanks. Oh no! Don't do that. I almost did it again.